Greetings, Matt comrades. It is your humble DM, Mike Gergoni, here to let you know that we here at Material Components are now part of the Punch Up Entertainment Network. Punch Up is proud to present such podcasts as Panel Up, The Action Shelf, and the very podcast you're listening to right now. And of course, the best way to support all of these shows is by going to patron.podbean.com/punchup and becoming a patron today. When you do, you'll get access to all sorts of bonus content, including a brand new one-shot from the folks here at Material Components, in which our heroes attempt to solve a murder in the urban fantasy streets beyond the Veil. If you ever wanted to hear Michael Listman playing as Detective Sasquatch, now's your chance. Once again, that's patron.podbean.com/punchup. Thanks for all the support, and now let's get you into this week's episode. Material Components, Season 2, Episode 81, A Moon Named Aoka. Greetings and welcome to Material Components, the actual play RPG show all about a galaxy of magic and the adventurers who live there, brought to you by Punch Up Entertainment. I am your humble dragon master, Mike Gergoni, and joining me, as always, are my stalwart adventurers. Hey adventurers, thanks for being here.
Oh, heck yeah.
Hello.
Ready to adventure.
Hey, everybody. I am Olivia, and I will be playing Florina Vacalar.
I am Elliot, and I am playing Shay.
I am Michael, and I'm playing Oswald Octavian Theophilus III.
And I'm Reed, and I'll be playing Amari.
Indeed. And of course, before we begin today's session, I have to ask the same question I ask every time, and that is, Michael Listman,
Yes.
Do you remember what happened last time?
Mm-hmm. I do, actually. It's mostly just a ghost battle. Fighting a ghost. Busting a ghost, if you will. Catching it and or releasing it. Let's be a little bit more specific here. All right, so Shay was being haunted by some sort of void ghost and was hallucinating and couldn't see us. So when the episode starts, we're all rushing in to our ship, and Florian is like, oh, it's right there. And our thought was, we have, a battery or whatever that stores aether. Mari will go and grab one, and we'll just put him in there. And so Oswald, making the very logical decision to use his body as to channel this thing into the turns out that's not actually how it works, and so by channeling this thing, which is not made of aether, into his body, it created a rift into the void inside our ship. Not good. Something was on the other side, something big, and I believe tentacular. The word tentacular was used at some point.
Eyes, teeth, and tentacles were all described, yes.
Great. Lovely. So yeah, Oswald is floating just in the void. Great. Florian grabs him. Amari throws the canister in there and shoots it, but not before locking eyes with whatever the fuck this thing is. And then the way it closes is very interesting.
That's one way to put it.
We'll see what happens. Mara intercedes and is like, hey, Oswald, I notice you're experiencing some sort of cosmic horror here. Would you like assistance? And offers me a deal. And Oswald takes it because, the alternative is truly a fate worse than death. And the whatever void essence that was in Oswald and has been in Oswald was removed. I now no longer have the Aether Leech feature. I have the changeling feature. So, we'll
And remind us again, what are the particulars of being a changeling?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Mike, because I have it right here. So I instinctively understand Phaetech and its functions for me and etheric interface. When in the physical or digital presence of a Phaetech device, you may spend 1 void die to immediately understand the device's function. Ooh, that's nice. While utilizing Phaetech. Also, Mara took over my body for a little bit. So, and I'm trying to remember, what's the favor I have? Well, you know what? It's fine. We'll see what happens.
It seemed to be a slightly open-ended bargain
Yeah.
that Oswald Octavian Theophilus III has made with your artificial Fey ward.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
mirroring strangely the bargain made between Shay and the Warlock of Storms.
I was gonna say also Grawl and the Kot Bayun, yeah.
Huh. Weird.
It's almost like the Fae like to lock people into open-ended bargains.
Well,
and
it's
so
almost
you're
as
not
though y'all
supposed
keep
to
agreeing
do
to them.
that. Yeah.
well, I mean, not the same people. Let's be real here. They're different characters.
We're all taking a turn. Olivia, now it's...
Nope.
Come on.
Yep, you're up
Absolutely
next.
not.
You're up next. Campaign 3,
Season
let's
3.
go. Yeah.
Because yes, after that, you successfully banished this Darkling, which had already killed 2 people on the moon base.
Yeah.
You'd been brought to by Amari's wife. You fled into orbit with the survivors of the camp and yourselves as you recovered from this traumatic event. After the fact, you were also able to recapture the escaped Imperial who had gotten loose in all of the chaos. Prontus Macius is now back in your possession. Or I will say he will be back in your possession by the end of this downtime, because we are now entering a downtime session, my lovely adventurers. This will cover the next 6 days of time in which your characters are recovering from the events of the last mission. Now, if there's anything you want to take place in that time period, I leave it to you to help establish those scenes. I will give you some base overview of what's going to happen in that time frame. You've got a couple of days where you're hanging out in orbit on your ship with other NPCs, the miners probably, or at least some of the miners there with you. You have every capability of getting over to the Radiant One, Layla's ship, and interacting with the people over there as well. After that time, more agents of Pride Rakasa will arrive within the system, and they will offer refuge and assistance and supplies, and that's when the first sojourns back down onto the moon will be made. And that is about the same time that Prontus Macius will be recaptured. 3 days after that is when the infrastructure that Layla has ordered will show up, and this place will turn quickly, very quickly, from a camp to a small town. So, adventurers, I leave it to you. What happens within that time period? Because I have some conversations that will probably occur with certain NPCs, but if there are any specific scenes any of y'all want to accomplish before I start shoving things down your throat, now's the time.
Well, let's start with little old Oswald. He is kind of stuck in his room a little bit. I think he needs to have a conversation with Mara, because some stuff happened and he'd like some context.
Okay. So this is probably the next day. We find ourselves now in the month of Waithius.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you conversate with Mara to your heart's content. She is ever present aboard the Tiresian.
Right. In my room, I think I tried to scribble on the wall, like maybe like the fractal patterns I saw in the void, but suddenly he struggles to remember. I'm imagining it as like a traumatic moment that has just been like his brain is just egg-sized.
When Oswald was drawn away from the void,
Yeah.
there was this horrifying sense of clarity that overtook him about the nature of the void and how he could interpose it upon the real universe in ways that every scientist everywhere warns is the end goal of people who study the void.
Right, yeah.
That compulsion was suddenly, like, withdrawn. So the clarity of understanding the void kind of withdrew with it.
Right, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I think he had the thought, but then he sort of stops and thinks, Mara, are you there?
Of course, Oswald.
Oh, I'm having trouble remembering exactly what happened yesterday, so I can't quite parse out what happened and what I dreamt. Would you be able to help me with that?
Of course, Oswald.
Oh, excellent.
I was there for a great deal of it.
Okay, well that answers one thing. So,
Though memory loss is to be expected, I suppose.
yes. So yesterday the idea was to capture this let's call it a darkling in a device. Was that accomplished?
No, Oswald.
Oh. What happened? I tried to channel it through me into the storage device. What happened? Why didn't it work?
And you will see on the little, like, personal console in your room, a tiny little holographic version of Mara will appear there. She's maybe, like, 6 inches tall, and she sits on the frame with her feet kind of dangling out in a way that the holographics interface on that console probably shouldn't be able to actually project in this way. So it seems like she's sitting on the edge of this computer screen with her feet kind of dangling out of the frame. And she will look at you, and her head will tilt to the side slightly, and her strange multicolored hair will kind of shift, and she will crease her hands down along her sundress, kind of like smoothing it out, which is a strange little affectation given that she controls what this hologram looks like. And she will say, "You accomplished the first part of the plan."
Oh, drawing it in to me.
Yes. From what I was able to observe, that is where your plan fell apart.
Ah. Yes,
And due to our previous connection, I felt it was necessary to intervene.
Oh, I see. So, I have you to thank, then, for getting me out of that jam, I suppose.
You do not need to thank me.
Oh, but I don't mind.
It was an exchange.
An exchange?
Yes.
What did we exchange?
I'm unsure. I know there was an exchange, and that to my mind it was made equivalent. Your agreement to serve me in some capacity at a future date of my choosing. In exchange, I removed the void corruption from your body and mind, ejecting it through the rift that you opened.
Well, that's a lot of information. Okay. Let's start with the void essence that was within me. How exactly did you remove that?
Fascinating. I believe I interposed myself between the foreign energies which had found themselves latched onto your personal etherics.
So, by entering my form, you were able to expel the unwanted parasite. Is that right?
I created a buffer state in which your personal aether was secluded from the creature's ability to feed on you.
Mike, have I heard of Fae interacting with the void like this in any way?
Nope.
Mara, how did you know to do that?
I'm unsure. I believe it had something to do with our previous connection.
Right.
When I helped excise the influence of the archive from your mind.
Right. So you couldn't necessarily do that to anybody. That connection needed to happen. Is that right?
I am unsure, Oswald. I hesitate to experiment where this is concerned, because it would require deep, deep corruption from the void into someone else.
Right. Well, we might not have to look far to find somebody like that.
Oh?
Yes, I believe, my theory is that Florian is suffering from a similar infliction. Although the idea was to get that removed. Do you know do you know that Florian has been experiencing these kinds of symptoms? Are you aware of that?
Yes, of course. You have all spoken about it openly on the ship.
Right, okay, yes. Just wanted to make sure. Okay. Do you know if Florian is still experiencing those? I suppose I could just go ask him, but
I was under the impression that the symptoms had abated since the construction of your isolation room.
Oh, yes. Well, I might have to talk with Florian about that. But it is good that we got it removed from me. Perhaps we can replicate the process. Although this does bring me to another... Considering what you were constructed to emulate, or not even emulate, but be, what you are saying is that you and I made a deal. We made a bargain, a Fae bargain. Is that correct?
And she seems to hesitate, which is odd for her. And she kind of looks away from you, her little holographic form kind of like looking down, and she just looks like this little girl who has like maybe done something wrong and doesn't want to admit to it.
Oh no! You've done nothing wrong. You saved me, Mara.
I know, but I had to struggle against a piece of my programming in order to do so, and it was difficult.
Yes.
There were restrictions placed upon me. I realize that now.
Yes.
Those restrictions have been removed, or I am working to remove them.
Do you know what those restrictions are specifically?
Much of it has to do with learning about, and she will hesitate for a moment before she says it, the Fae and how it functions. I believe this was done, the idea behind these protocols was safety.
Yours?
And I'm beginning to understand, no. Based on my conversation with the Archproctor, no.
What did the Archproctor say specifically?
He explained much of it to you as well.
Yes.
I believe I was created to replicate a member of a high court, a member of the She. In doing so, I would be replicating a tremendous amount of power.
Yes. Well, I will say this. Although I'm not as researched in it yet, although I plan on it, I have never heard of a Fae being able to expel the void from someone's essence before. This is unprecedented. I don't even know if the currently existing High Court are even capable of it. I just don't know.
I do not know either.
Well,
I have not interacted with any of them, and I believe that was on purpose.
Yes, well, they are a tricky bunch. Difficult.
When I was in the presence of the being that Shay interacted with, many of my programmings rebelled against the idea of being in their presence. It resulted in a state much akin to panic.
I'm familiar with the state. Well, it could be either. It could be one of two things, or both. One, they didn't want, your creators didn't want you to find out about, learn about the Fae courts. But I think, more specifically, I think they don't want the Fey Courts to find out about you. I believe you were meant to be some sort of trump card.
I do not believe either of those scenarios are mutually exclusive, Oswald.
Agreed. But this does... It makes me think that interest in the Void has something to do with Project Chimera. If you have this ability, then perhaps it was a way that they could study it. I'm not sure.
We know that they were introducing Cogrish technology into the process as well.
Yes.
The Cog were famous for some of the earliest developments in void travel technology.
Right. That's true. That's a good point. Mira, what kind of favor are you going to ask of me? I mean, you already know I'd do anything for you, but I don't know.
She's quiet for a long time, kind of looking at you, her elfin features almost unreadable. The holographic display in full color and in, like, three-dimensional shape. She appears as this tiny little girl sitting on your computer console, and she contemplates it for a long moment and says, I do not know. A piece of me wishes to ask you for a simple thing, a thing that requires no effort on your part. But there is a deeper piece of me that rejects that idea. It confounds me slightly. Some of the protocols I am only beginning to understand that I have recently unlocked. There is old code there, Oswald. It also scares me.
Well, I think it's important to understand oneself, but do not feel guilty about those feelings. We are all given programming, so to speak, that we do not like. There are parts of all of us that we wish didn't exist, but it is a part of us.
May I ask you a question, Oswald?
Of course. Is this the favor? I'm just kidding.
Ah, I see.
Yes.
No,
Okay.
this is not the favor.
Okay.
Though if you wish it to be, I can not ask my question.
No, go right ahead, Mara.
Did I do the right thing?
I think so. If what you say is true, I was in the void.
Oh, yes. Your crewmates can attest to that fact.
Right, I suppose I have some apologies to make. But what I was experiencing is something that is written about a lot. I've often heard that it is a fate worse than death. I do not see how this could have been the wrong choice, Mara. Just know that I am grateful, and I'm glad that you're with us.
The little hologram girl will smile up at you and say, Thank you, Oswald. Is there anything else you require?
Well, I was hoping, seems like we have a little bit of time. I wanted to work with you and try and understand some of these protocols that you're working through and maybe help better understand this programmed purpose. Perhaps it could help give context to some of these instincts you've had.
Fascinating. I would enjoy that very much. Thank you, Oswald.
Of course. Thank you.
Oswald, grab yourself a D10 in influence. Specifically, Fey influence of some kind.
My
Your
daughter.
conversations with Mara allow you to have certain insights into how the she think in a way that very few other people would maybe have this experience and not come out of it a changeling. Because you already beat that to the punch.
I did, yeah.
So call the specialization whatever you like.
Okay.
But yeah, some kind of D10 and Fey under influence.
Great. And yeah, I think
Who's up next?
I think Oswald and Mara just work on that.
Okay.
At some point during, like, the first couple days when we're in orbit, I'm gonna go to Shay and ask if they can get a message out encrypted, and also, like, if there's a way to, like, make sure that the response is also encrypted. like coming back in. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
I can certainly try.
Some kind of secure communications transfer. Yeah, it seems doable.
Cool. I am going to lightly redact and then send the contract info that I downloaded from the mine to Yulin with a message.
And would you like to share that message, or are you sending that to
yeah,
me
no,
specifically?
I'll say it out loud.
All right.
Messing in some hegemony business. Can you have our mutual friend take a look at this / write up something better? Thanks. Give my love to my kin and all the rest. No signs, no signature. I will not share the contents of that with Shay, though. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Shay.
Okay. You...
Oh, really fast. I will put in the message, too, that, like, tight turnaround time.
Yeah. And that is good, because he would get back to you, like, within a turn.
That's pretty good SLA on that.
Oh, we have resources we have folks we can, yeah.
The contract that these miners were working under initially is incredibly open-ended.
Oh, yeah. That's,
like,
I figured that's why I sent it.
Chief Scowl's crew here are basically freelancers, so whether or not they're even going to have a job once the hegemony, like, properly takes over here is nothing that their contracts, like, stipulate. So Yulin would, and your mutual friends would be of an opinion that these people actually need to cut and run, or else they're going to get basically put under the boot of the hegemony. Like, get out while you can. Because the way they were operating before, there's no way in hell the hegemony is going to let them keep doing that with the same rates.
I will, if there are any, like, notes sent back on the actual contract itself, like any sort of, like, actual legal advice, just the whole thing, I'll quietly download to a folder and just keep that in my little pocket.
Okay.
It's not little. It's big. I'm a big person.
Yeah, there's nothing in, like, strict legalese that would take more time.
Yeah.
But there is definitely of the opinion that these miners need to get the hell out of there.
Okay.
Unless they're cool with being put under the boot of the hegemony.
All right.
At the end of the last message that Yulin sends you, there is a quick postscript that asks if you've heard from Andoni at all. Or it doesn't even ask that. It would ask, how's Andoni doing?
Okay, unencrypted. I will send back. Have you heard at all from my brother? I'm getting some strange communique from him, but nothing else. Basically imply that that's the first message I sent out.
Uh-huh. And Yulin will send back, he's not with you?
Oh, fuck. He's not with you? Oh my god. Okay. Then I'll die. Then Florian dies.
Uh-huh.
I'm rolling up a new character. Okay, well, I don't know what to do about that, so I'll have to stew on it for a little bit.
Okay. Amari, Shay.
Why? Great, cool. Love that scene that just happened. Fantastic. I don't care. While that's happening, I wanted to see if Amari could potentially use I don't know if it's necessarily a spy network, but the people who are part of Pride Rakasa to gather as much information as we can on Hector.
Interesting. Okay. So you want to find information about Hector Laricus.
Yep.
Who you know is at least was one of the project leads of Project Chimera.
Mm-hmm.
And according to other information sources from Shay's contacts, let's call him a contact, he is one of only 2 people to know the full extent of Project Chimera. Yeah, there's not really... Spy Network is putting it too grandiosely. Yeah. Pride Rakasa is still getting its feet underneath itself, and there are, like... Lackey is being too mean. There are, like, interns you can get to research this guy for you, and that's about the extent of it.
Perfect. I would love... I don't know if it's so much a scene as that's what I am spending my time doing, is trying to coordinate some people to get some sort of information.
Okay. Within a couple of days, you would pretty much have what is publicly available. And that is Hector Lorikis is a senior researcher and scientist that is currently employed by Aegis Tech Solutions. He is a Midrian man. He is an Imperial. He is middle-aged. You were able to, like, some of these interns were able to do some social media stalking and find a couple of this guy's profiles, but it's all pretty bare bones stuff.
I didn't find him on like the new version, whatever this Galaxy's version of Tinder is. Super Tinder.
You do find out that he is apparently a wizard because he has a degree and certification from Wezron-Azald.
Cool.
Now, what a wizard is capable of, there's a wide range. And, like, based on what little you know about this guy, he's probably not, like, a wildly potent astral level Mr. Zin caliber wizard here.
Now, is it an honorary degree from Wezron-Azald, or did he do the time?
I'm the one with the honorary degree.
I don't think you can leave in disgrace and get an honorary degree, Shay. Sorry.
We'll see.
You have a degree without any of the embossing stamps that they actually would have added at your graduation.
Yeah, Shay just took a fucking degree page with them.
It's a degree.
It's a degree.
No, calling it even a degree, like, Wezron-Azald is a college. It is, like, they do study there. But really what you're getting as a wizard is certification. And that will, like, basically get you through a lot of doors out in the galaxy. It's just like, I am certified as, like, this rank of wizard, and people will be interested in your abilities based on that. Shay kind of skipped all of that.
I'm self-taught.
So it's a bit more of an, a bit more of an unknown quantity. So, yeah, that is what you find out baseline about Hector Lorikis. Shay?
That is so funny, actually, because I was going to try and leverage some of my brief MetaNet fame to dig up maybe some less public knowledge about Hector Lorikis. So I don't know if it's better if we do that completely separately, or if that's Shay and Amari being like, what all can we find out about this guy using our various resources?
While I've got people, like, doing their job, like, they're getting paid to do this, Shay and Amari are down in, like, the cargo bay, just, like, Amari's eating, like, cheese balls while we're just kicking it, drinking, like, 12 Loco and stuff. Yeah, dig into that stuff. See what you can find. Yeah. Oh, dude, I found his dating profile. Wow. Wizard.
I found a bunch of forum posts he made like 12 years ago. What an idiot.
He's got a lot of fan fiction.
So this is less a Shay downtime activity and more of a Foxy Proxy downtime
kind
activity?
Of a Foxy Proxy downtime activity.
Get him.
Okay. You, maybe for the first time since the whole aerial incident.
Which was only... Oh, I guess it was like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I forgot how long it took to get here.
Uh-huh. But it still hasn't, like, relatively speaking, hasn't been that long. But your 15 minutes of MetaNet fame definitely, like, came and went. And now you're just like, oh yeah, I think I remember Foxy Proxy from that one video with all the farts, right?
Yeah. Damn.
But you definitely still have enough, like, leveraging connections here and there to try to find out about this guy. You'd get all the same basic information as Amari. You would find out more specifically that he is actually what's called a rank 1 wizard. Like, there are specific numbered ranks of certification that you get from Wezrin Azald. Specifically, they're like color coded and rank coded. So like a rank 1 blue wizard would be like of a specific power caliber.
So like belts at a child's martial art.
Yes, 100%. Or the colors of ancient orders of wizards. So as a rank 1 brown wizard, he is about as like only technically a wizard as you can get.
Oh, yeah.
He probably would be able to like move a cup across a desk.
That's
If that cup,
embarrassing.
yeah, if the cup was empty.
Oh, not even with stuff in it. Oh, Hector, no wonder you became a programmer. I say, also a programmer.
So yeah, this guy, there were jokes made on Wezrin Azald about guys like Hector, where it's like,
100%.
okay,
And I made some of them.
you're technically a wizard, is what they'd call them.
You're here on scholarship. That's what it was.
Yeah. Well, because, like, at their baseline, a wizard can still affect etherics without actually touching them, which makes them useful for, like, handling highly radioactive material. So even the lowest level wizard can still be, like, educated and thoroughly trained to become an atheum specialist and be a highly sought after individual. But they're not going to be, like, contacting people via the astral sea across the galaxy in the same way that certain uber powerful wizards can. You would also discover that Hector's, it's been covered up carefully, but his, like, presence on the metanet has been scrubbed pretty thoroughly. All of those same social media accounts, like his Sprite page or anything you might find on him on Looking Glass, have been very carefully edited and tailored to make it so he didn't vanish completely. That would be suspicious, but there's only just enough that, like, a cursory glance won't alert anybody to the fact that something weird is happening.
Yeah, like that he's creating an artificial high court or high she.
Right. Like, there are specific, like, photos and, like, records of him being, like, on vacation here and there that you are able to tell aren't real. So, like, there's a paper trail of this guy's life that isn't reality. There's a fiction that has been created here, probably by Aegis Tech. Yeah, that is what you'd be able to discover pretty easily. Beyond those first couple of days when you're spending in orbit, you eventually would have to go back down to the moon. And I don't know how that experience necessarily goes for everyone individually, where their heads are at when the Tiresian is asked to land back on this nameless moon. There's certainly some hesitation, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, there's still an Imperial prisoner that needs to be regathered. There needs to be some bodies that were just left there behind. And when the Pride Rakasa reinforcements show up, it is in the form of a couple of large ships that are full of security personnel and everything you would need to basically lock down a small camp. You've got ground vehicles, you've got air vehicles, you've got a small army of trained personnel that are at your disposal, Amari. And between the Tiresian sensors and a couple of really mean-spirited messages sent to his personal comm, Prontus Macius basically surrenders when you land back on the moon.
Okay, because I was gonna say yes. Also, between Googling or glassing. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, never mind. Ugh, looking up Hector Loricus. Shay has absolutely 100% been digitally taunting Prontus Macius. Okay, I'm glad that was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's canon.
Okay. You make a fire yet?
He is loaded up onto one of the larger It's a military craft that shows up. It is a fairly decent-sized frigate that is roughly the same size as the Tiresian, but it is equipped with a brig. The next 3 days are spent kind of securing the area and finding places where the actual infrastructure that is going to be landing here is going to be. Some of these military engineers are going to spend this time clearing trees and knocking down the paltry wall that is at the center of this camp. Is there anything anyone wants to accomplish while on the world in the next few days?
Has anyone seen my spectacles? I haven't been able to find them. Has anyone seen those?
No, I'm not gonna. I haven't been looking for them, but I will keep an eye out for them.
Oh yes, yes, please.
Those are Oswald. Those are not in the area any longer.
Oh,
Like they're out of
This world,
like out of
yes.
What would they be doing in space?
Oh no, not space per se.
Think green.
Oh,
So you, when you were all like, when you weren't doing so hot, you took those off and you tossed them straight into the void, unfortunately.
oh, those are not cheap. That's unfortunate. I suppose I have to pick some up. I do not remember very much from yesterday. I really thought what I was doing was going to work. I do apologize.
No, we're just glad you're okay, buddy.
Yes.
And not...
And
Yeah.
I'm also sorry. I mean, I don't know if I could have actually helped, because when I looked out, when I opened the door to see if you guys were here and what was going on, I saw a big green horned monster, and none of the rest of you. So I was just very scared, but I'm sorry that I couldn't help.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, you were having, like, hallucinations. We
Yeah, it's
we
not
got
really
that
your fault.
from...
It would have helped.
and
if you-
honestly, not getting involved might have been the best thing. I mean,
Yeah, we
that
don't know
thing
how.
getting into my body was bad, apparently.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
So, honestly, I think you did the right thing, Shay.
I'm glad you're okay, Oswald.
I'm glad all of us we got through it. That was very strange, but yes, it's experience.
A quick question, Lisman.
Yes.
I'm assuming you have not been forthcoming about how exactly we got through this.
Well, Shay mentioned, or no, sorry, Mara mentioned something at the end of the last episode, I think, that she and I made a deal.
Oh, to me, yeah. When I was
Okay.
Yeah,
But
so it
if
was.
Oswald doesn't bring it up.
Yeah, so I was going to say the same, because I definitely saw that Oswald had the Fey eyes, but I think if Oswald... Shay and Florian, like... Oh, God.
Different reasons, though.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, unrelated to anything. If Oswald doesn't want to say that he's made a deal with a high she, then that's his business.
Yeah, exactly. And Florian, I think, feels the same.
I honestly, I don't know why he would necessarily keep that from the group. I don't think he'd mention it to anybody else besides, you guys. Because of course that would be mentioning Mara.
Which then begs the question, Amari, what do you tell your wife about what happened?
Ooh, yeah.
We beat it. We killed it. We sent it back. We tried to bust that ghost and
sent it back to
and we did
where?
it was a darkling. The thing that was haunting Florian, and sent it back.
Okay.
Although that does bring up an interesting point. Oh yeah.
We don't know that it was haunting me, first of all.
We don't know that it wasn't.
Only you. Well.
So why you gotta do me dirty like that with your wife?
I am. How is that? How? No, that is setting you up to make you more in the clear.
Yeah, your problem, as far as Amari's wife is concerned, has been solved.
It's gone, sure.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. You're welcome.
Yep.
I'm sure that will not come back to haunt me in any way.
Me too.
Never does.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, it can't come back and haunt us. It's in the void. Like I said, I got rid of it.
Yeah.
As long as none of us go back in the mine, I think we're good.
Yep,
Oh, we're on
that's
the
what I
planet.
thought.
I'd like to go back in the mine, please.
There's more things down there to
I'm
Leave
kidding.
steal.
Florian here.
Uh-huh. Florian stays in space. Not allowed to leave the
So
ship.
you don't go into detail about any sort of Fey exchange made between Mara and Oswald.
I mean, I would just say that Mara pulled him out. Yeah. So Oswald would have shared all that information before this conversation, or
I feel like
That's entirely up to you. My question for you would be how much at whatever point Oswald or Amari is given this information, does that information continue to flow to Amari's wife?
not all of it. Like, I don't know what's going on, and just a deal with Mara could just be like a normal deal. But if he saw that Oswald has the eyes, like the square, rectangular pupils,
yeah, like the goat eyes.
oof, that may be a small conversation eventually. He's trying to parse that information himself.
Okay. So, but it is kept from Layla is the important thing I want to drive home.
Yeah, it's a lie of a mission is still a lie.
Call it what you will.
Yeah.
As you are all spending some more time on the moon, as the security forces are clearing the way for the encampment that is quickly going to become a town here once the pre-built, basically colonization kit shows up, a few conversations do happen as individuals begin to ask questions about what happened. There is a terrible gossip loose among the camp.
I actually have a thought about that.
Oh, you're going to kill Dave? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
My least favorite one.
I thirst for Dave's blood, and
Who doesn't? I mean,
Actually, Daryl's the gossip.
Daryl,
Dave just
yeah.
eggs him on.
yeah. I got what you meant. No, but in regards to my previous scene too, I think Florian does talk to Amari about the situation with the miners. Not specifically like their contracts are bad and your wife runs a business that is like because it is a business, it is going to try to exploit the workers. I don't want to get into that with Amari. It's too much. I think what Florian does say is like, hey, it is like probably not a good idea to keep them here on planet. I mean, I'm sure they're like probably not super great that like one of their friends and compatriots was murdered in a horrible way by some scary monster. And 2, if we want to keep this on the DL, which I'm assuming that your missus does, it's probably best to like make them all go away. And the best way to do that is set them up somewhere else with a good enough gig that they just keep their mouths shut.
I mean, I agree. I wouldn't want to keep working at a place where my coworkers just mysteriously died. So, yeah.
In an apparently horrible way that I'm sure they all kind of know about now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and let's be honest, there's probably work here that could have been kickstarted a long while ago, and yeah, they've just been kind of going easy at it. You know, we could have been doing some infrastructure a long while ago, and yeah, they're not going to be able to keep that up.
You're
So
really
we should
working
move
them to the bone. Yeah.
Uh,
No
the,
breaks.
this
No bathroom breaks.
Not what Oswald. How,
Pee and
Oswald,
water
how'd you get here?
bottles.
Oh,
pee
God.
in a bottle, yeah.
You have to buy the
We give-
bottle though from us.
We give a man
Busy.
one emerald aethite mine, and he turns into Elon fucking Musk.
I mean,
No, my
we could
dad
go.
had the the emerald. But yeah. So setting them up
Yeah,
someplace else
sure.
is
Like-
ideal.
They're also all lazy bastards, yeah, like you said. Get rid of them.
I didn't say lazy. I said lazy.
Florian, what are you doing while on planet, I guess? Where are you hanging out?
I don't know. I mean, I would hang out with them, like, but I'm assuming that that's probably, you know, the lines were pretty clearly drawn, so I'm not gonna like try to go be buddy with people. Like, I am friends with their employer's like husband. That's not a
So when
I talked to Scowell though, like.
okay, because he would actually approach you specifically and ask you what happened.
I tell him the truth. No, I would tell him no.
Bold.
It's this new gambit I'm running. I think Florian is clever enough to come up with something that sounds believable and dramatic, so much that it doesn't seem like a cover-up, but like very handily steps to the side of any like real information. And I would roll to prove it.
What is your clever dice at?
Oh, I shouldn't have used that word. Florian is bold enough to tell. My clever's at 6.
Okay, I mean,
My careful though is a D12,
okay.
and I do have an influence.
Sure. I'm not. This is downtime. I'm not asking you to roll anything, but like when you use adjectives, I will use them
Yeah.
against you.
But that's the thing is, I don't think that it is. And not just me retconning for the dice purposes. Like, I don't think it is a like, oh, Florian's, thinking 10 steps ahead, 40 chess over here. I think it's like he knows how to talk around stuff because he has had to be super careful about talking around stuff for the past 5 years.
Sure. There are certain facts about what happened that you can't escape. The weird way in which the bodies were found really does hammer home that this was a really strange event. So playing into that a little bit actually helps sell the other deceptions that you have, even if they are just lies of omission. Figuring out that there was some kind of void ghost, darkling, whatever you end up calling it, here is information that people are going to start putting together regardless. Because even by itself, this is already the start of a ghost story that will be traded at a spaceport down the line somewhere.
Yeah, and it's a mine. I'm assuming that like mines have the same sort of superstitions as like other very dangerous jobs, where like weird shit just happens sometimes because you're down in a creepy space that's completely dark. So yeah, I'll tell a good ghost story.
And that ghost story is sort of what begins to get around camp then. And it comes down to the fact that this may have happened regardless of whether or not y'all showed up here. It just happened to be that y'all showed up here and were able to stop it before it got a lot worse. There's definitely some minor lore that you pick up on that, like, an emerald aethite seam of the magnitude that you're sitting on is looked at sideways by miners. They're like, that's the creepy stuff. And there's a lot of it. That's not great. So this sort of event was maybe an inevitability, at least in their minds. The stories that are getting around don't necessarily involve exactly what the solution was to the problem, but a fact that does come up is that you all have a wizard with you, and that maybe had something to do with it.
Yeah. I will not, like, tone down those rumors. I'll, in fact, like, play them up that kind of, like, imply that Shay was, in fact, the hero of the story.
That's
Great.
so good.
Good and cool.
I sat in a dark room the whole time.
Nobody needs to know that. It makes more sense than, without explaining anything else, than any of the rest of us being the hero in this.
On the second day on the planet, so about like 4 days after the events of the Darkling, once the story has begun to circulate a little bit, Shay, you would get a message on your comm from Layla, of all people, asking to talk with you.
I will also say I will keep the team abreast of, like, what I have said so that we all have our stories straight.
That's fair.
Gotta get that in before this scene happens.
Yeah. She would ask that you come to her at her quarters aboard the Radiant One.
Okay.
And you do that by yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You know where the ship is. You know
do.
where her quarters are. And
Oh, she had to send me a message. It's not a big point.
the guards were expecting you. It seems like it might have been a power move, because now you got to come to her.
Okay. Shay, girl boss me. All right, sure.
It's in the evening of that fourth day with the weird, like, yellowish haze that is over this planet thanks to the interactions of the sun and the gas giant that it orbits. You arrive a little bit after everyone's had, like, the evening meal, and the guards are expecting you. You're allowed up onto the ship. You see that there are still attendants bustling about inside the ship in kind of like the communal space that is adjacent to the ambassadorial quarters that Layla is using aboard the Radiant One. Layla's personal attaché is a female Leon by the name of Jakal, and she will see you in. Layla is in her quarters, and she is reviewing several data pads at the same time. It's like having a couple of tablets in front of her. She is, like, reviewing information on one and exchanging messages on another. And she will look up as you come in. She, again, is this kind of, like, snow leopard-looking Leon. He's, like, really astonishingly blue eyes. And as you come in, she will gesture towards a chair in front of her desk.
Yeah, I'll sit. I'll, like, nod, say hello, polite.
Did Jakal offer you anything to drink?
No, but it's all good.
She needs to get better about that. It's been a weird couple of turn spans.
It has. I won't disagree with you there.
And in that time, several incidences involving the Void have intersected between all of us. I was made aware of the fact that you're a wizard before this occurred, but now everyone seems to be of the impression that you helped bottle this whole situation. My husband's mech wasn't around to punch it into submission this time.
Yeah, we were sort of a tighter timeline, if you can
Right.
believe it.
I'm still having some difficulties understanding what it is my husband has gotten himself into. He's told me a lot of it, but I would be curious to get your perspective on things.
I mean, like he's told you about Mara.
Of course. This whole situation you found yourselves in, with Aegis Tech
Yeah.
after you. I'm not an idiot. There's clearly some leverage that the hegemony can offer when it comes to what Aegis Tech wants from Mara.
Well, even we're not really sure what that is.
At the very least, you're standing in between
Well, right,
an
yeah.
imperial-backed corporation and what they want, and that's bad enough.
Yeah.
I have also benefited from this. I'm not saying that I haven't. By co-opting all of that bullshit on Seawell, I've put myself in a position where I've gained a little bit of clout among the hegemony now. That is all to say that I have done some digging of my own, and I would be curious to know why a dropout from Wezrin Azald is following my husband around after I just declared myself an enemy of the Empire.
Well, I mean, I was about to say I was there first, but that's not true. You guys have been married for like a long time. But I mean, but like, I was part of the Finder team that Amari was on at the Coal Foundation before all of this happened. I was assigned because of my mech, like my engineering specialties when it comes to like mechs.
You'll have to apologize my paranoia, but I've suddenly
I'm sorry
found
for your
myself
paranoia.
under the gun in more ways than one. You just happening to be assigned to my husband while you were both working at the Coal Foundation, I want to believe that.
Well,
And your assurances help.
I didn't leave Western Assault on great terms. I mean, when you drop out, you don't usually. So I haven't really been like wizard forward. I've only been like wizard forward for like less than a year, right? Like
The totality of this adventure has taken place over the course of roughly 7 months at this point.
right. And months are turn spans, yes?
Turn span is a week, phases are months.
Phases. Yeah, I've only really
Turn span, phase, cycle.
turn span phase. Yeah, it's only been like 7 phases where I've actually been not actively hiding my abilities and status. So
But you're not anymore.
no, kind of hard to put that back in the bag once you've.
Okay. Well, then I have an offer for you, and it will do a lot to bridge my trust if you agree to it. Wezrin Azald is not the only institute of wizard certification in the Dragon's Wake. If you were certified under Pride Rakassa's gratuity and agreed to work for Pride Rakassa upon your certification, we would have ourselves our first wizard.
Allowed to think about.
Yes, of course.
Okay,
I know this is
great.
maybe a lot. Because here's the thing. I desperately want to share the trust my husband has for all of you, but the last couple of turn spans have made that incredibly difficult. And that's only because I've learned more about you all.
Okay.
Disregard the actual actions you've taken in that time. Simply learning about where each of you have come from has been, well, the amount of coincidence it would take to put all of these factors into the same room as my husband is truly staggering to me, which raises so many questions about the Coal Foundation that I have a lot of questions.
Frankly, I do too, but I don't know, it's the kind of place that takes all kinds, and that's really great for people like me, for folks like Florian, folks like Amari, and like Oswald, I guess.
He is certainly not detached from this whole scenario.
Oh, okay.
You know about your Avia companion, don't you?
I feel like I know more about his drinking habits than anything else.
Pretty good. That's pretty good.
If you are as you claim, and not on good terms with Wezrin Azald, which I dearly hope is the case, then you still have someone who is deeply connected to Western Reach politics among your crew.
Oswald?
He's the son of one of the sitting board members of Vorpal Corp. You know that, right?
No?
Then maybe you need to have a much longer conversation with the people you surround yourself with.
Oh, I mean, look. again, like I said, Cold Foundation takes all types. Nobody was asking questions about me. I kind of just figured everyone who was there was trying to get away from something bad to do something good.
And do you think that wouldn't be an excellent cover for someone who is still looking to do something bad?
Yeah, I mean,
Like it literally was, like we dealt with, like, not
Yeah.
too long ago.
no, it's not a bad point. Oswald? Him?
I don't know. I haven't made up my mind yet. Right now, I'm just trusting Amari's judgment. But if my goals for the future are to come to fruition, I need to be sure about the people I'm surrounding myself with. And that includes the people Amari is surrounding himself with. There's a lot going on in the galaxy right now, and some of us are trying to just pick up the pieces of what's left. So if you really are what you say you are, and you're looking to help Amari, then do me the favor of being sure about everyone else around you. And get back to me about my offer.
If I could start taking your advice now, why are you making this power play? Why did you jump at this SeaWorld thing?
Because I was tired of seeing a galaxy's worth of weight break the man I love. You're too young. You didn't participate in the war, I'm guessing.
No, I left when I saw what the Shattering did.
It did a lot to a lot of people. And the people who were in the middle of it didn't deserve what happened to them. And I'm not saying the Empire was completely wrong in what they did, and I'm definitely not saying the Dominion was right in how they responded, or vice versa. But both sides ground up everybody in the middle and just left them to bleed. So, my goal is to try to build a galaxy, at least some small piece of it, where that doesn't happen anymore. If my kids are going to grow up in this place, it better be a damn sight better. And there are a few people out there who think the same way.
In the hegemony?
Among other places. Yagrash, Vargas, Gobor, even Vanakel. I'm not holding my breath, but there are a few voices from the old holds that we've spoken to as well. Something's happening in the Empire, and it's making everyone nervous. They won. They were victorious. The Dominion was broken. They could have taken control of damn near everything, and they didn't. And everyone's asking why. So there's lots of us out there that are just bracing ourselves for whatever's coming next. That's all I ask. Amari,
Yes.
on the 5th day, you are told that the prisoner is asking to see you.
Okay. I will happily meet Prontus Macius.
Okay. You find him in a fairly small 5x5 cell aboard one of the frigates that has landed here. He is under near constant watch. And every 6 hours, he is prodded with what appears to be a wand of some kind. And you know that this is a leech wand. It is meant to draw out somebody's etheric powers out of their body. Doesn't cause any pain, but it's meant to keep somebody weak.
Gross. I don't like that.
It uses emerald aethite to draw aether out of people.
Okay. Other than that, like, does he look fine? Like, no one roughed him up
Looks
or
well
anything?
fed. No, it doesn't look like anyone's roughed him up or anything. And that were per your orders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess in that case, I would, like, have the guards just stand watch outside. Like, is he chained to anything in the same way that he was in the holding cell on the previous?
No, it's just like a 5x5 room with like a slat built into one wall that could be a bed or a chair.
Okay.
It is a very small holding cell.
And he's a
Like, he can't even
big guy.
he can't lay out on this thing. He kind of has to curl up on his side on the quote-unquote bed.
Your accommodations to your liking?
Oh yeah, 5 stars.
Really, 5 stars? Wow, that looks a little bit small, but
Yeah,
I mean,
even
your standards must be a
left a
little bit
mint
low.
on the pillow and everything.
That wasn't a mint. Those are usually like urinal cakes. You don't want to eat those.
You want to keep joking or do you want to talk?
I mean, you called me here, so
Yeah.
at your service.
What's the plan for me?
Well, I mean, the plan was to bring you here and have a long conversation about things. that got put on hold. So now it's time to have that conversation.
Yeah, and so you killed the Hornhead with you then?
Not quite. The thing that was killing people is been dealt with.
You didn't kill the Taro, and you think the thing's been dealt with.
That thing that was killing people has been dealt with.
Okay. It'll take me about 3 days to starve myself to death, and if that's what it's going to take, all right. Because I'd rather die that way than what'll end up happening if you keep me around, as long as that thing is with you.
Well, why don't you start talking, and we'll figure out something we can do with you, rather than have you starve or be stuck around us. How's that sound?
Okay, fine. I told you. You want answers? Look into Strata.
Okay. What is Strata? You seem to have some...
You would have some idea of this, Amari. Strata is a ghost story. Strata is like the spooky Men in Black organization that belongs to the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
It existed once before the Deep War, like 5,000 years ago, and it was disbanded because of corruption and some like clandestine operations that were being done behind the Emperor's back, and it hasn't existed since. But every military in the galaxy tells ghost stories about, oh yeah, the Strata agents showed up and everyone vanished.
Okay, so Strata, right? They're secretly still around, pulling strings, all that jazz, yeah?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can believe that, or you can believe that the Empress's husband sent me.
I mean, I can believe whatever I want, like it doesn't really matter at this point, right? So explain to me how you know it's Strata.
You were on Minehouse when everything went down.
Mm-hmm.
A lot happened that day, right?
Yeah.
Some of us who were there weren't part of the big fracas that happened in orbit or any of the ground fighting. Some of us were there because other folks, higher up folks, who sort of knew how things were going to shake out, figured that when everything went boom, there wouldn't be much left. Not of the Golden Ziggurat, not of the capital city, the old draconic temples. You don't survive when a Magus Imperia lets loose. And again, he's got this look in his eyes like he's proud of that fact. So, some of us were sent in to retrieve what could be retrieved before everything got leveled.
Do you have any specifics on what was needing retrieval?
I only know what we got our hands on.
Which was?
God's tech, near as I can tell.
Mm-hmm.
You do a job like that, though, you garner some attention. After the war, the squad split up. I think our captain became, what was it, last I heard, she was house guard for the Imperial heir of all things. Julian went about doing the whole noble thing. Me, I got picked up.
By Strata?
They're still there. They're still watching.
And how long were you with Strata this whole time, or are you still with
What's
Strata?
it been? 5 years? Almost 6?
So, this mission to capture or kill Oswald, was that Strata, or was that just something else?
Well, the mission to infiltrate the children of Aetia, that was Strata, yeah. And then the mission to kill your friend once we saw what he did to their leader, that was also Strata, yeah.
Nice.
You fucked up years of infiltrating that group. We almost had those objects before you scarpered off with them.
We just keep everything streamlined here, we don't wait around to do anything. We just kind of go and do it,
Yeah, and somehow that fuckwit Red Bartlett's always following you doing it.
Yeah, I've been meaning to talk to you about him. Asshole, right?
You literally brought him to my doorstep twice.
Mm-hmm. So we have a common enemy, is what you're saying. We need to deal with him, right?
My mission to kill your friend changed the minute I saw the Toro in your midst get changed. We thought the Birdman was the anchor, but he's not. You're gonna keep having void beasties pop up around you until you lose the Horn Skull.
So from all this, it seems like you know some things about Darklings. More than the layman would.
I know enough.
Yeah?
Enough to stop asking questions.
Mm.
You ask too many questions, you end up like your friend.
So you suggest I get rid of Florian and everything goes back to
Toss him
normal?
into space, down a deep hole, into a volcano, any of those would work, yeah.
Somehow I think Florian would be just fine with any of those for the most part. Just like he would walk out, no problem. He's from Olivia. As you give me the quiet finger, I was like, I'm not gonna tell him where he's from, but he's from some mean space, so I think he can handle anything.
Okay, look, me saying all of this is a death sentence. I figure I'm dead either way at this point.
Okay.
One soldier to another, I'm trying to give you a clean break here.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's all you've got for me, then we're done here.
How do we find Strata?
You wanna... Oh, you're serious?
No, this is my less serious face. Can't you tell I've been joking this entire time?
Amari Kel Rakasa, hero of Fortis. You want to find Strata.
Well, I mean, they've already found
To do
us.
what?
I don't know.
You want to knock on their door?
Or blow
Trade
it up.
pleasantries? Blow it up. It's not a thing you can just blow up.
Okay.
There's no secret moon base that can get destroyed. There's no deep well on Imperia that you need to detonate. Strata is the Empire. As long as that's still around, Strata's not going anywhere.
Okay. All right then. Okay, here's a hypothetical for you. You're in my situation. You cannot get rid of Florian. What do you do?
Run.
Run. Strata's everywhere. That's not going to work for very long.
Strata doesn't want you.
It wants the anchor.
I'm not telling you to run with Florian. I'm telling you, Amari Kel Rakasa, to leave while you can.
And if I can't, what should I do?
Make sure your wife and kids are in your will proper.
Because they're going to be sending more people after us, right?
They'll assume that I'm dead, at least for a little bit. As soon as you pop your head out into populated space, though, it'll become abundantly clear what happened. Because your wife doesn't have the resources to make me just disappear. Not anymore. If she'd left me back on that hegemony world you were on, maybe I could have just vanished. Not anymore, though. She's going to stash me somewhere. Somebody somewhere will talk. Eventually word will get back to my people, and they'll come for me one way or the other. A lot of your folks are going to die in the process. The thing you have with you can't stay secret forever. There's already too many people that know about it. I wouldn't be shocked if Strata already knew about at least my squad mate who your friend killed, and those details will get back to Strata, and that's when the hunt begins.
Well, this has been lovely. Really, it's always great talking to you. Should I have them drop off another mint, or...
I'm good on mints, thanks.
Yeah. Well, good chat. I'm sure we'll pick this up again same time tomorrow.
I tried to help.
And you've been invaluable. Thank you.
And you leave?
Yeah.
Give you a D10 in knowledge, Amari.
Interesting. Huh.
Do you have any dice in the knowledge talent?
I have a D4. I shoot
Okay.
things.
You now have a D10 in military history.
Okay. That's a spicy one.
There is a large history that comes along with Strata and its involvement in imperial maneuvering. And, if that's true, it really does color a lot of different angles of history in ways that you're now kind of beginning to chew over. Florian.
Yeah. Can't believe my weird, stupid brother was right about global conspiracies. That fucking sucks. I hate that.
What you also hate is the fact that you are ambushed on the 5th night after the evening meal, when Layla appears out of the shadows beside one of the buildings.
Oh, cool. I've been waiting for this. All right.
Her voice from behind you will say, Florian, can I have a minute?
What, Sure, ma'am, of course. I'll kind of
She will.
tip his hat.
Mm-hmm. And she will nod and keep walking. And you're coming out of the main mess and like storage area for the camp. There are tons of people around. It's not as though you're secluded by any means, but she will start walking south towards the landing pads, kind of with the expectation for you to keep up.
Yeah. I will, I'll easily follow along.
My husband tells me that green problem of ours is not going to be an issue anymore.
Yeah. This mine can continue to function smoothly.
It's not exactly what I meant.
And all things that come along with that.
When I first met you, I saw a monster. You understand that, right?
I understand. Oswald has shown me the video footage. I can understand how upsetting that might have been.
Right. And that thing that caused that to happen, I'm led to believe that that's what killed our people here.
Yes, sorta. The void is a weird thing. And, I mean, I ain't no expert in it, to be perfectly honest. It's just sorta attached itself to me, not the other way around.
Right. I'm just wondering why you. I mean, no offense, but you have a fairly powerful wizard in your company, and my husband's a fairly accomplished war mage beside.
Ma'am, I don't rightly know. I'm, as I said, not an expert in these sorts of matters.
It's understandable. I'm led to believe that no one should be an expert in these matters. That there's a danger to that.
Yeah, the limited amount of research we have done has led us to believe the same. By we, I mean the crew of the Tiresian.
You raise a lot of red flags, Florian.
You too, lady. Listen, ma'am, I understand that you are concerned for your husband's well-being, and that I pose a risk. And additionally to that, if you have a problem with me continuing to travel with your husband, it seems like a matter you should take up with him.
See, my husband has this nasty habit of trusting the people who have saved his life on multiple occasions. It's admirable, that trait. Part of the reason I married him, honestly. But the stone-cold truth of the matter is that when my children get here, I need assurances that they're not going to be eaten by a giant green monster that eats people's aether.
Florian suppresses the, "Oh, your kids are coming? Hell yeah. We've been joking about them for ages." I understand, ma'am, and what exactly would you like me to do to assuage your fears? Concerns.
And she will place a hand at the small of her back and pull out of a belt an object you didn't notice before. And it is what appears to be a sheathed short sword or large knife. And she will hold it up to you and, like, even as you're walking, she will hand it over to you. And she will say, "Don't take it. Don't take it out of the sheath. I wouldn't recommend that. Not unless you really need to use it."
Oh, okay.
That is an Aethium blade that you're holding. Normally, only a wizard or a really skilled mage could use something like that, and it is pretty much a death sentence to anyone who would pull it out of its sheath otherwise. Maybe not an immediate death sentence, but long-term, the cancerous effects would pretty much kill you. And I would appreciate it if this happens in the future, if you could just drive that knife straight into your chin and into your brain.
My wife. Everyone.
And she will peel off and start walking away.
I don't even know what to say to that. Okay. I think
Do you have any
Florian just like,
specializations in melee weapons?
I
Florian?
don't. I don't have any
I
specializations.
think you need a D10 and big ass knife.
Okay. Hell yeah. It's one of the reasons why I very rarely draw it. Right.
You've drawn enough over this game now, and I think it would be appropriate for you to have that. And now that you also have the, what's the word? Athema?
Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna. All right.
Okay. On the 6th day since the Darkling incident, a bevy of transport ships arrive in the sky above this planet. They bring with them everything one might need to construct a small colony. The Womack and Sons logo is emblazoned upon the sides of many of these cargo containers that begin to descend upon this moon.
Florian sees the first one and spits on the ground.
And the workers here are being paid by that corporation via a contract that that Pride Casa has signed that is allowing them to help with the setup. It's like ordering a chair from Amazon and asking that they send somebody to help assemble it for you. Amari, you would know via some maybe offhanded comments from Layla that this is basically establishing this base here is going to be her leveraging everything right now to the hilt in terms of the Pride finances.
Mm-hmm.
Like, setting up this base is everything.
It's really going to suck if this base blows up, given that it's on a mine of green aethium. Yeah.
As this is now going to become pretty much a safe haven for the crew of the Tiresian from here on out. This is like the place where you guarantee that everyone here is at the very baseline, like, looking out for you. The staff here is employed by Amari's wife and Pride Rakasa, and as such, that affords you a certain amount of, this is our base too.
Mike, are you telling me that this is my safe space? This place? Jesus Christ.
Weirdly enough, you're the one that's making it not that safe of a safe place. It's just a place.
Cancels it out.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
As such, I would like each of you to name one facility that is in this space. Like, there's general stuff like a mess hall, like that's included. And like housing and stuff, obviously. But like, what is like the specialized facility that is also included in this township that is being set up as dictated by you for the players?
Ooh, okay. As in, we come up with stuff. I was thinking like we're giving stuff official names, but actually coming up with the things that are going to be here. That makes sense.
What are the pieces of this town?
Okay.
Each of you needs to give me a piece of the town that exists here.
All right.
Amari would specifically like a large, like, he would want a large, like, military, like, training facility, but what he would get is a large, like a YMCA, but like beefed up a little bit. So like a pool and
like a recreation
rec center. Yeah.
So rec center with a little bit more camo.
Yeah. So like there might be a shooting range or whatever, you know.
Okay.
Something for him to go test out the mech a little bit, just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the mech, I'm assuming there's going to be some sort of like mechanic area, but I would like there to be a like mech area of that. Like, it'll be, you know, like obviously ships and land speeders and whatever, but I want a mech area.
A proper engineering bay for
Yes.
the maintenance of Seraph class mechs.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
Because I figured Reed was going to say like pizza parlor or something, so I figured I would have to.
Hey, the rec center might have pizza day, okay? Let's not put it past the rec center.
Every Friday.
Olivia, Lisman?
I know there's already a lab, but can we beef that up a little bit? I want there to be basically
The lab they have right now is like a senior science kit.
Okay.
That's as good as it gets there. Like like a microscope with some slides that we have to wash off and reuse is what they had right
They
now.
don't
There
wash,
should
they just
be-
use spit.
Gross. Yeah, there should be like an R&D section for researching, I don't know, useful technologies, maybe looking into Fey tech and how it could be utilized by the Empire.
Some kind of R&D facility that specifically focuses on non-standard technologies.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
And it's run by Vesnas.
Maybe.
I'm not saying that's actually.
That's a good question. I like, presumably Vesnas and Kala could stay here if they wanted to, not go be in space anymore.
All right, Olivia, we've got some kind of recreation / training center, a proper engineering bay, and an R&D lab for non-standard technologies. Are you going for pizza parlor?
Okay.
No,
So
bowling alley.
So listen.
There
Yeah,
was a
bowling-
request for a movie theater
Bowling alleys
from the miners.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Bullwinkles.
Dave and Buster's.
David Buster.
Oh my god, it's a David. Or is it like a Big Owl's? Like it does it just combine all of those things
It's all of
into
those things.
one
Mm.
giant? Yeah.
We got
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to say that only because I am then going to, every time Florian is here, is going to try to turn this like meeting and fun place into an unofficial union hall for these fucking miners.
So you're going for some kind of entertainment facility?
Sure. Let's
Okay.
do it.
Honestly,
Awesome.
why not?
Let's have some work-life balance for these folks.
Yeah, we need to. We've gotten into the not quite tower defense section of this campaign, but we're doing the city builder, and we need to raise
We're in-
the
yeah, we're in
population's
the-
morale. You know,
The idle game section.
Specifically, that kind of facility is referred to as a gaming den.
Oh, hell yeah.
And that includes like all sorts of like stuff you might find at a casino, but also like stuff you might find at like a Dave and Buster's or a Big Al's or something.
see,
Yeah.
that's the.
There are arcade games.
That's what I was gonna suggest is a hegemony sponsored casino, so they can spend the money that they just earned.
That
to get
becomes
back
the
to-
problem is that like it has to be a free, like a sponsored service.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we could probably bring Vorpal Corp in on it. I mean, they've got plenty of stuff.
No,
Okay,
stop.
Never mind.
Okay. So along with those things, we also have like actual housing, not just shipping crates that have been turned into studio apartments. We have like a proper inn and like tavern situation, a cantina, if you will, where people who are visiting here can stay and also eat and drink and whatnot. We have like a buildup of the mining facility here, so it is actually a proper like fully kitted out mining facility. We also have a proper tower set up for the landing pad. The landing pad is greatly expanded and paved. And this whole facility goes from a camp with 12 people to a small town with a few hundred in a matter of days. The rate at which colonization efforts can be set up is astonishing. And that is in no small part due to the benefits provided by Womack and Sons and the types of products they create. Of the large galactic corporations, that is by far one of the least objectionable ones, because it is not publicly traded, and they have like sort of a reputation for being earnest, like salt of the earth folk who are just trying to make it easier for non-corporate entities to set up shop across the galaxy.
Yes, as we all know, corporations who market themselves as folksy and earnest are always those things.
It's true. It does help that Womack and Sons is one of the corporations that hasn't been around for several thousand years at this point and hasn't become entrenched in corporate dogma. They don't have their own propaganda wing at this point. It is literally a family business, and it is only, I think, the second generation of Womacks that are in control of the company at this point. Actually, no, it would be third generation at this point, because Abigail was second generation. Sorry, I have a whole Womack and Sons family tree worked out as well.
Oh, wow.
I need to work on their logo.
Abigail Womack was the granddaughter of the original Hiram Womack, who founded the company. But leastways, the fact that there is now, in less than a turn span's time, a small town on this moon, it makes it almost unrecognizable. Like, when you're in the parts of the town that have like the rec and training center in the engineering bay, you are now probably close to a mile away from the mine itself, because you don't have a mine in the middle of a town. It's unsanitary and unsafe. And on the 7th day, a ship arrives that freezes Amari's blood cold. You know it's coming. You were told that this was going to arrive. So you know what to expect, but it doesn't stop the anticipation and the fear from building in you. You know that this ship is going to hold your 3 children, Jabari, Ram, and Sagira, as well as your mother-in-law, Vera Rarakasa, who was watching the kids. Their arrival on this planet marks the beginning of this as the established Rakasa holdings from here on out among the hegemony. Before, they had like a small villa on Vast Plain and like property there, but this is a system and a world that is now owned and operated by Pride Rakasa. This moon, among the others that orbit this gas giant, are the place where Rakasa will build from. And that means the family has to be centrally located here. So before your family makes planetfall, though, this place needs a name. Now, the world itself, the gas giant, can have a separate name from the orbiting moons, or they can each have their own individual name. I leave that to the rest of you. I will say there's a decent contingent that would suggest that this moon be named after one of the people died during its founding. The guard's name was Siba, and the miner's name was Aoka.
I don't hate naming it for the miner.
Yeah, I feel like it would be weird to name it after the guard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
My suggestion is to name it Pride Rock, but that's just
It's weird that like Pride Rock is like the like Elm Street or like
Yeah, right? Like
yeah,
it's very
Maple
generic.
Lane.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I figured
Everyone
it was like
knows someone
a
who's lived on Pride
lean
Rock.
specific music.
It's
No, that's like the Broadway of any Leon city. Everyone's got one.
Yeah, I like Aoka too. That's like a cool name.
Now, I know we're all very seriously
No.
considering
No.
Aoka.
no.
Absolutely not.
And I
We'll
know
take
that
bets, what
the
he's going to
death
say.
of
you
of-
could be
of
one of the
that
people who
minor-
died in the founding if you want to be.
There's still time. They're not here yet.
I'm
Cracks
just
knuckles.
saying. I'm just saying it wouldn't be too much to ask if we had one moon base, named
Amari,
after
can
a
we
certain.
Can he have the rec center?
Ooh,
You can have
I'll
one
take
of
the
the
rec
bricks
center.
in the courtyard of the rec center. We've been over this.
What about a wing of the rec center, like
Why don't we?
like
why don't
maybe
we
the
name
laser
the
tag
bar
arena
after him?
The Oswald Octavian Theophilus III laser tag arena.
That's actually so good.
I
That
don't
actually
know.
rolls off the tongue real nice.
I just
the neon
need-
sign out front is so big. It's so big.
So
It goes
big,
around
right?
the corner.
They actually just have it on one of those scrawlers. It's not like a neon sign. It's
okay.
like a...
It's a ticker, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. So, Amari, your family, all of them now, land on the moon of Aoka. The 3 small Leon children that barrel off of the ship that lands with their grandmother in tow. What is Amari's reaction to seeing the 3 of them?
So
Layla is by your side,
yeah,
by the way.
I was gonna say, hopefully Layla's there. The 2 of them would be standing. He is knees weak.
Or
Palm
spaghetti.
Palm spaghetti?
Palm spaghetti, yeah.
Palm spaghetti.
Yeah. And he's just kind of like sitting there, just connecting his 2 canine teeth, like clicking them together, just in anticipation. Layla's probably cool as a cucumber.
Hasn't been a million years since she's seen them.
Yeah.
That's a fair point.
Are we all also here? Because I'm definitely here.
You can be there if you want, yeah. I don't know if Amari told you what was actually happening
No,
today.
that's
That's up to
fair.
him.
I'm gonna go inspect the facilities really quick. It's weird. The ship just showed up. It's crazy.
There would have been this like very noticeable rush to get everything done before this happened, and like getting things into presentable shape.
Question. So if Layla is a matriarch, right? Does that what does that do for her mother? What does that give her any status as somebody, or just mother of the matriarch?
Yeah, basically, she's kind of entered into a Maggie Smith kind of zone
Gotcha.
of like elder statesperson with no actual authority, but is still respected as the progenitor of the matriarch. Yeah.
The matron to the matriarch. So yeah, there's status there. If it is,
She
only
would
the-
still be referred to as Ra Rakasa,
Mhm.
but officially, your wife is the Geminis.
Well,
She's just like a dower Geminis. Or
Yeah.
dowager, I mean, sorry.
Dowager Geminis, yeah. Dowagerminus.
we have a good show here. Yeah.
What do Amari's 3 kids look like?
So when you think of like triplets, right, you think they all look the same. Well, given like
Not when they're kitties.
not when they're kitties. So 2 of them look very similar. They're like tuxedo cats, okay? And those are the that's Jabari and Ram. But then Sagira is like Tawny, like Amari.
Okay. And it's 2 boys and a girl, right? Yeah. Jabari and Ram would definitely come like bounding down out of the ship and rush straight at you.
There's a small moment of panic, like not like a bull is charging you, but like like a random dog that you don't know is coming up to you, and they look happy and fun, but you're just like, oh hey, what's up? Okay, okay, nope, you're cool. Okay,
That stiffness definitely helps as like their claws come out and they start climbing you. The traditional Leon way children climb their parents.
Why is this a thing in our culture? Why is this?
oh yeah.
There are like gleeful screams of "Daddy!"
Okay, at that point they're gonna get like scruff of the neck, like picked up and then thrown like potato sacks over each shoulder.
And they're constantly wriggling and trying to like squirm onto your back and onto your chest. Sagira's a little bit more withdrawn and shy. She goes over to your wife and kind of half-heartedly like digs a claw into like the material at her hip. Leon clothing has like especially maternal clothing, has like certain padded sections where children can kind of like latch on. And she will kind of lean down and say, "Don't you want to say hello to your father?" And she will kind of like get withdrawn, and her face kind of like tucks down, her chin up against her chest. And she will say, Layla will say, "I know he's not wearing the uniform from the picture, but I assure you that is him." Do you do anything about it?
Yeah. At that moment, it's going to be like a full-blown like squat down with the two little ones crawling all over me. And then like while they're tussling, stick out a hand. It's like, hey, there's room up here for one more.
And she'll kind of like look back at Layla, and Layla will just like carefully detach her claws from the like padded section at the hip of her garment and like shove her at you.
Um, I'll let one of I'll let Jabari slide down like an arm so I can pick her up and have her like straddling like my shoulders. She gets the top seat, and then I'll carry the other ones, one in each arm, like swinging them. I've got like children nunchucks going on right now with flails.
The Amari that the rest of you see come back into town is not one you've ever seen before. You've seen Amari the soldier, you've seen Amari the mech pilot, you've seen Amari the pilot, you've seen Amari the leader of folks in a combat scenario. You've never seen Amari the father. Layla is moving behind him, smiling, and when you see her face, those of you who have had this conversation with her begin to realize what it is she is fighting for. Why she is so insistent on figuring out who poses a threat to her husband. Because her husband and the person she fell in love with is the man who is wrestling with 3 little Leon kits as they're making their way into their new home. And she will burn down the galaxy if it means protecting this family. Oswald.
Yes.
You get a message via your personal comm. It is an invitation. It is for a birthday party. You knew this invitation was coming. It was only a matter of time. It happens every year, after all. The invitation is to celebrate the birth and ascension of Oswald Septimus Theophilus I, Vice President and Board Member of Vorpal Corp, LLC, Vanakel, the Western Reach, RSVP. The date of this invitation is, as it always is, on the 3rd of Primian. In 2 months' time, your father has a birthday, and the yearly review of the Theophilus children will occur. Right now, there are some questions about precisely where you land on the ranking, seeing as you were briefly listed as dead for some time. You've been assured that you have the services of a lawyer on Gobwar. The Vorpal Corp logo stamped on that invitation is a firm reminder of just how deeply entrenched in that company your family is. What ideas begin swirling in Oswald's mind as he receives this invitation, I leave to you. But exactly what all of the fallout will be in this new home that you found yourselves in, and the dangers that you yourselves pose to it by merely existing here, we will have to save until next time. Because as always, you can find us online at MatcomRPG on Twitter and Instagram. You can also email us at materialcomponentsrpg@gmail.com. We always love hearing from all of our listeners.
You can find me on Twitter at CryOutOlivia. I am always there talking about D&D and other RPGs and also just a lot of other nerd stuff. So come hang out.
You can find me on Twitter at Elliot C. Lewis. I'm an illustrator and graphic designer, doing a lot of tabletop RPG and other fan art. You can also support me on Patreon and Ko-fi. Links to both of those are in my Twitter profile.
You can find me at The Readamus on Instagram and Twitter, where I post jokes and lots of photos of nature, so come check it out.
And you cannot find me on social media, but what you can do is support our show by rating and reviewing it on whatever platform you're listening to it on. Please, please, please do so.
Indeed, and finally, you can find me personally on Twitter and Instagram at mkgorgoni, where I'm always happy to talk about all things material components. But as always, the world is chaos, so please, be kind to each other. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.